Every day we bring you the hottest music. The ultimate music mix. What's up, everybody? Some outrageous conversations.
I know a few alleged drug dealers.
This is not a drug conversation.
And I'm not.
This was.
No drug slender will be accepted.
Do not come play snitch here on the show. Disclaimer: I don't know anything about drugs. I don't know any drug dealers.
I know.
I just want to talk about witchcraft.
Let's get to the real thing. The morning mix on Informanté Radio. The sound for every day. The hottest music. Ultimate music mix.
You won't believe, and that's something you would need.
It's some outrageous conversations.
Jy het nou amper iets gesê. So, are you saying Namibian men were not romantic?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Huh?
Yes.
Why? What are the values of Namibian men? Is there anything good about us?
I'm striking up.
She is striking a blank.
You know what?
Let's get to the real thing. The morning mix on Informanté Radio. The sound for a new age.
Good morning. Hello.
Huh?
Are they supposed to be?
Hey, Vambu.
I have no idea actually. I didn't check.
Sorry.
Don't start so aggressively.
Yes.
I don't have time for Vambus so early in the morning.
Hello.
Yeah,
Behave
please.
yourself, please.
I'm at peace at the moment. We have special guests here in the studio. So we can.
Well, before we got so rudely interrupted, I was busy saying good morning to you guys. 8:22 on this cold Friday morning here in the capital city, guys. It's freezing. Moro, now you can talk.
Oh, now I can talk.
Yes, now you can talk.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Let's be very civil with each other. It's a blessed morning this morning.
You clearly did not have any medicine this morning.
May I get next?
Maria, how's you doing today?
Always good, you know me. It's a Friday.
I see you wearing the dress I bought you. That's so nice.
Yeah. Well, I'm supposed to wear yellow today.
Say donkey. Just say thank you.
Whatever. I'm supposed to wear yellow today because I have a shoot at Lisenheim, the Plus. So I'm supposed to, jealous a plus.
But I don't get it. So people apparently just leave it at Lisenheim unprovoked.
Unprovoked.
You know what? I posted what you said last night. I posted it on our
WhatsApp group.
On our WhatsApp group, and I'm like asking everybody, like, what is this? So we're all asking each other now. No, what is that? Waaroor gaan dit nou? And what is this all about? The Wambos in the group. Yeah, we want to know what is the problem. So we still don't know.
I think it just means like if you have a choice to live anywhere else.
Why would you want to
want to live on the outskirts where it's so cold?
Yeah.
And
Lisenheim can get really cold from what we hear.
So why did you send it to me? Because you said share the same sentiments or what?
I mean,
Los ons uit. Ek en my boere en my Wambos, we are at peace.
Jason was a spokesperson.
Yeah. So.
All right, guys. Let's welcome our guest to the studio. We haven't had somebody in the studio in quite some time. Good morning, Angela.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
All right. Maybe just to bring our viewers and listeners up to speed, just give them a brief introduction and just a little bit of background.
Okay, so my name is Angela Prusa, also actually known as Pikey Wrong Stockings.
Sorry, repeat that again.
Pikey Wrong Stockings.
And I am... Gosh, what do I define myself as? I'm many things. One of the things that is currently my kind of life's passion is cannabis advocacy.
Okay.
I consider myself a cannabis activist, and I have been advocating for cannabis in Namibia for probably almost 5 years now. I have worked with cannabis. I worked in the cannabis industry in California illegally for 10 years. And then for the last 4 years, I have been working with cannabis in a therapeutic manner, making different cannabis products for people with chronic ailments ranging from, cancers to epilepsy to Parkinson to dementia to depression to anxiety, pain, sleeplessness. And I also do a lot of social projects. I'm based in Swakop when I'm here, and I started a project there because I'm also an acupuncture practitioner, another acupuncture practitioner, and I focus on addiction and trauma. And so I also support a lot of the homeless guys there, and so I try and focus on projects that empower people. And so for me, cannabis, because I'm also really passionate about the environment, about our wildlife, and for me cannabis is kind of one of those plants that ties everything nicely together.
Okay. Now, I understand you yourself do not consume any.
Yeah, no, I used to smoke cannabis all throughout my 20s, but about 6-7 years ago, I stopped smoking cannabis. And funnily enough, I then developed chronic migraines and also fibromyalgia. And which both of those are now, by evidence-based research and science, linked to a cannabinoid deficiency. So I don't really consume cannabis. I will every now and again use it as a preventative. But I, for example, am one of those people, if I smoke cannabis, I get really, really paranoid and anxious. So okay. I'm like...
I'm sorry. You guys continue with your conversation.
Neville?
I think maybe Neville... Yeah, I think I'm even a little bit actually more interested now. So
Paranoid.
you don't smoke.
No,
You
I don't smoke
advocate.
cannabis. I advocate for cannabis, yeah, because this plant is amazing, you know.
Okay, so do you advocate for recreation? Is it what you call it?
Yeah.
No, so there is no medical or recreational, it's cannabis. You know, you can build a house from cannabis, you can make paper from cannabis, you can make plastic from cannabis, you can smoke cannabis, you know, to chill out after work, or you can use cannabis to help you sleep. It's all the same plant. You know, I think there's like this whole thing of, medical cannabis is okay, or CBD. No, it's all cannabis, you
It's
know,
all cannabis.
and that's that one plant that has so much potential. Yeah, so I advocate for in Namibia for, you know, decriminalization with the road to legalization.
What is the difference, just for somebody who is not quite clear? What is the difference between decriminalizing and actually legalizing it?
So decriminalizing is basically when you're not being criminalized for cultivating or using or possessing cannabis. And
Okay.
often they overlook trade also, you know, because essentially cannabis has to be bought and sold. You know, so with decriminalization, you might be able to carry cannabis on you a certain amount or cultivate it in your home. You know, but often people are then still arrested for trading it. So for me, decriminalization is when we remove that stigma from cannabis and we stop criminalizing people for essentially exercising their human right and their autonomy over their own body as responsible adults to ingest what we want in the privacy of our space.
But you know, like the sort of blowback to that is always, I mean, the cannabis is still classified as a drug.
Yeah, but
So
exactly, but this is where the issue lies.
Yeah.
Cannabis was classified as a drug not because of evidence-based research or science. It was a purely racial
decision.
motivation
Yeah, okay.
behind it. You know, South Africa was one of the first countries to criminalize cannabis under an apartheid government. You know, whose main aim was to control their Indian and African slaves. And it was the same in America, you know, it was like a racial targeting. And if we look at all these countries, you know, disproportionately black and brown communities are arrested for minor cannabis offenses. And so even the World Health Organization is rescheduling cannabis because there was a study done by Dr. David Nutt in England in 2016, I think, which looked at substances and their harms. And cannabis is less harmful than alcohol and tobacco. You
But
know,
harmful nonetheless.
Yet it sits in the same schedule as tick and heroin, you know? And it's like, name me, you know, how many diseases can sugar, alcohol, or tobacco cure? None. You know, cannabis, you have a list of hundreds of diseases. You know, when we look at things like that, we need to look at the harms. You know, I'm not saying cannabis is harmless. You know, I don't particularly I have a 10-year-old son. I wouldn't want him to be like smoking fat joints. But, you know,
Yeah.
you know, because that's also the thing with harm reduction. When we look at harm reduction, is what essentially, you know, cannabis and cannabis addiction and misuse, etc., are all social health issues. They're not criminal issues. You know, they should be dealt with by social health practitioners. And it should be regulated and dealt with according to its harms.
All right. Now you have worked in the cannabis industry in California. California has legalized it for how long now?
So when I worked there, medicinal cannabis was legal, recreational cannabis, you know, and I say that in like
In inverted commas.
inverted commas, was not legal,
Yeah.
you know, which is rather ridiculous. But what was the question?
No, I actually wanted to know, like, basically, what was the benefit to the economy, to the community? Hey.
Sorry.
I mean, the benefits, you know, we see it with countries that have legalized recently. The
Yeah.
benefit to the communities and to the economies is greatly, because first of all, when we look at America, they did it wrong, because currently in America, you know, like in Canada, it's cannabis is legal now, you know, and every person is allowed to smoke it, yet you still have people in jail serving sentences, you know, like some of them like life sentences. And this is again when we look at the disproportionality of racism that's involved, because while rich white companies are making millions from the cannabis industry, you know, poor black and brown people who are the entrepreneurs of the cannabis industry are still not able to partake in that industry and are still sitting disproportionately in jail serving their sentences, you know. So if you really benefit the communities, like it has been shown in places where they've legalized it, you know, you're creating jobs, you're creating industry, you're, you know, taking the criminal aspect away for families is massive, because even in Namibia, you know, we have a cannabis industry. It's underground, but we have, you know, there's people selling it, people buying it, people growing it, people making oils, you know, and so often it's like the breadwinners are being put in jail and families are broken up, you know, and so when you take that criminal element out of it, you know, and you give people an opportunity to create industry, it's good for the economy, because, you know, you're putting into the economy and you're creating new industry, you know, new jobs, new sectors. And cannabis is so multi-sector, you know. I mean, you can, from paper to plastic to bricks to smoking
to clothes,
medicine to clothes to everything.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a plant that while you're growing it, you're sequestering more carbon than most trees and plants. You know, you're cleaning the soil, you're phytoremediating the soil, and, you know, reviving degraded soil. It grows really fast. And then, for example, if you make bricks out of cannabis, you know, and that's kind of like the end product after you've made all your paper, your textiles, you know, and you make bricks from that, you're using way less water than you would with cement. You know, cement is detrimental to the environment. If you're using cannabis, you can create bricks that are cheap to make, quick to grow, you know, they're mold resistant, pest resistant, fire resistant.
And how easy is the processing of this? Like I mean, obviously, if you are just consuming it recreationally, you don't really need to do much to it. But I'm sure there's a process, that goes into it. Yeah.
But this is what's great, you know, it's a labor-intensive process which creates jobs.
Jobs, yes.
And also, you know, imagine now there's so many people who don't have the ability to go to college because they live in a rural area, you know, or they might be illiterate, but they could learn how to create, you know, textiles or weaving or making these things. So the opportunities are really endless. And for me, this is a massive fight here, is, you know, like that this plant is for the people. It's not for the elite or for, like, you know, foreign investors. And it's to repatriate those who've been previously harmed. And it's to empower those communities, you know. We have communities all over Namibia that are, like, forgotten about, you know. They're in the rural areas. There's no jobs, there's no income, there's nothing. And this plant would grow there. You know, and they wouldn't need a college degree to partake in the industry.
Maria, you look like you have questions.
No,
I can go on and on and on and on.
no. Actually, no. I'm just taking it in.
You've been quite vocal, especially about you know, cannabis during this COVID-19 pandemic. Maybe just to shed a little bit more light on that. Obviously, our economy is, I mean, if you ask me, it's changing, so we need to change with it. Yes. Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's the thing, you know, and this is also what I said to the government, you know. I was like, look now, we're all locked away in our houses, you know, like economies, sectors, you know, of our economy are collapsing, you know, because tourism is a huge industry here. But so tourism has so many little, you know, arms which also have caved in. You know, the amount of people I know who've had to close their businesses who served the tourism industry.
Yes.
You know, and so imagine now you're at your house, and even if you're living, you know, in Katatura in a shack, you will have a 1 meter by 1 meter square in front of your house that you could utilize to plant. And I'm not even talking about high THC cannabis. I'm talking purely about hemp here.
Yeah.
If we would have put seeds in the ground 3 months ago, and every person would have planted between 20 and 100 trees, you know, we could have started to create an industry.
Now, what is the difference between the hemp and cannabis? Hemp is low THC?
Well, hemp is used for more industrial purposes. You know, hemp, I mean, it varies. The THC can be anything between 0.01 up to, I think there's like a global like cutoff limit of what defines cannabis and what defines hemp. Which is 0.3. You know, and hemp kind of grows more tall and upwards, and the stalks and stems are like, you know, fibrous, etc. And then cannabis, the one we know that we smoke and use for medicinal oils, therapeutic oils, I hate that word, medicinal, you know, is more kind of like bushy. You know, but quickly coming back to the epidemic, you know, also all over the world, cannabis was considered an essential. Cannabis businesses were allowed to stay open because it was considered an essential. And while other businesses were caving in, cannabis business is thriving. You know, and that's the thing.
I mean, I'm sure you'd want to smoke more during lockdown.
Yeah, people, you know, and it's a medicine. I mean, if you look at, there's places, in Israel and in Germany where they're looking at cannabis for a cure for COVID.
That's that.
You know, so I mean, this is also what we have to understand is that, you know, when people always have this argument of law, you know, and I'm like, listen, to me personally, I honestly do not give 2 cents about the law, because once upon a time it was legal to own black people, you know, and it was legal to hang them on trees. You know, once upon a time it was legal to marry your 10-year-old daughter. So when we look at law, we, you know, that's just dependent on
we
who
can
sits
change
up
them,
there
yes.
and
Yeah,
change
yeah,
them.
we
You
can
know,
change
that's
them,
a
yeah.
person. We have to take people's personal biases and opinions out of this and look at evidence, you know. And if we look at evidence, cannabis is a plant that has the longest history alongside humanity. You know, in the scheme of things, you know, there's evidence of like cannabis is the first plant that was used by humans, and they've taken it and spread it with them all over the world. You know, if you look at the Bible, if you look at, you know, the ancient Egyptian traditions, everywhere cannabis used to be the main, you know, medicinal plant in the pharmacopoeia before colonization happened and they criminalized it. So in the history of cannabis and humankind, you know, it's been illegal for like less than 1%.
Okay, now I've got a question. If you take studies in countries where it is legal, do you then find perhaps that they have, or even if you compare, more social, because I think that's the argument that comes, like, oh, you're creating more problems for yourselves, you're creating more addiction for yourselves, more societal problems for yourself. Now, if you compare countries where it is legal, what are the findings in those countries?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, all the studies, a body is a body, whether that body is sitting, you know, in Namibia or it's sitting in Sweden or it's sitting in America, you know, a body is a body, and like all the countries have their social issues. What people don't understand is, you know, when we talk about, for me, harm reduction of cannabis and all drugs for that matter is proper regulation, you know, and that the only way you get that is by legalizing it. You know, this is also the thing, when we look at Namibia, we have such high rates of alcohol addiction, you know, which are absolutely detrimental, you know, absolutely
Alcohol
detrimental.
abuse, yeah.
And this is linked to trauma, you know, like apartheid was not so long ago, you know, half of our people live in extreme poverty, you know, in informal settlements with no access to running water, or, you know, 50 households to one tap, you know, no opportunities. So poverty and addiction and childhood trauma go hand in hand. But when you look at drugs, you know, it's like in the alcohol prohibition, people weren't drinking beer, they were drinking moonshine, because when something is illegal, you're trying to get, you know, like the highest punch from the smallest amount. And so now you have people bringing in cannabis from South Africa and other countries, and they have to get it through the border. So they're going to spray it with doom to hide the smell, or they're going to put like glass crystals on it to make more weight and make it look like it's crystal. You know, no one's going to ask your child for their ID if they're buying their cannabis, you know, at a house of a criminal. And also, a lot of the times when things are illegal, people try and make them more addictive, because it becomes a, you know, like there's that aspect of making as much money as possible.
Before you get caught.
Exactly. And so once you bring something, you know, that's also the other thing in terms of harm reduction. When people are already using cannabis. It's not like because it's illegal, people stop using cannabis.
Exactly.
But when we focus on the social health aspect of it, when we can identify who the people are who have addictions and who need help, when we can control the quality of the cannabis and we can regulate the market and we can put an age restriction and we can put experts, to at all, in terms of like social services, rehab facilities, etc. Because we don't even have rehab facilities, for alcohol.
No, we don't.
There's so much lack. But so also the money we would be making from cannabis is that money we could use to create these things, because people are using cannabis and people are using crack and people are using cocaine and people are using man drugs, Like, I work with these people. I know the drugs that are
But of course, we're
floating
not
around
saying
on the
we
street.
should legalize man
All of
drugs.
them.
No, but actually, if you look at places like Portugal that have decriminalized all drugs, all hard drugs, like everything, the trend is when instead of policing people and making them criminals, you're helping them. In Portugal, for example, they had huge problems with heroin. And so they decriminalized all drugs, And so what they found was less overdose deaths, more help for addicts rather than criminalizing them. So crime rates went down.
But what then happens for the traders, the people that are selling this cocaine and the hard
for example,
drugs?
in Switzerland, there is places where you go and you legally get your heroin, but then also you're controlling the quality. You make sure, because we will always have
Controlling the
addicts in
quality of
society.
heroin.
Yeah, because there's a place in Switzerland that you can go, as a heroin addict, and you can get your heroin, and it's clean, good heroin. Because people will always, it's humanity's trend, we always try and alter our state of consciousness. And there will always be trauma, so people will always use something to quell that trauma, So...
Sorry, I just never thought I would hear good and heroin in the same.
I've never heard something like good heroin.
Heroin, good heroin.
That means it's heroin that's not tainted with anything that is not heroin.
Because once you buy things on the street, the quality... But let's forget about the hard drugs, because when people hear this, they are going to have a heart attack.
Yeah.
Yes.
In terms of cannabis, harm reduction starts when when you take a product and you can control the quality, and you can,
Control
also
the
have that
supply.
conversation, because there is so many people in Namibia that use cannabis, so many old people.
For
who
different
are being
reasons, even,
arrested,
yes.
essentially.
Yeah, I also wanted to ask, okay, so a few years ago I went to Denmark and they had this former army base, Christiania, I believe it's called. So everywhere else you would find, like, for example, weed and drugs are not allowed on the streets, but you can go smoke
To this
in
particular spot, yes.
this particular, and it's not a small spot. Like, I mean, it used to be a former army base. They put a wall around it. There's schools there, there are communities, there are restaurants, playgrounds, and everything.
But it's a green zone.
It's a green zone. So they found that taking it off the street and controlling it to an area, controlling it to an area took it off the street, because people just, it's easy to...
Let me just go there
where
I won't get into
with
any trouble.
like-minded people,
Exactly.
Yeah.
and smoke a joint. It's nothing. So then I was thinking, like, in a broader, I'm just also, I mean, I'm Namibian and I know a little bit of how Namibians think. So wouldn't that perhaps be a better alternative? Wouldn't people be more welcoming if they thought, okay, it's more control to an area than kind of just allowing it on the streets? Because I while I don't agree with them, I kind of get those arguments as well, and I understand those arguments as a mother myself, 2 10-year-olds. So is it just, if it becomes I understand that you'd have to show your ID and whatever, but if it's more accessible and it is within their reach, am I also perhaps not encouraging
them to try it out?
But, okay, so I totally agree with you. For example, for me, Spain has a really good system with the cannabis private clubs, where you go, and that's where you go and buy your cannabis, you go and smoke your cannabis, you go and, So this is great. And this is also great for people who have no private space.
Yes.
When we look at our townships where, the blurred line between what is your private space. If you have a 5-bedroom mansion with a massive garden, you're great.
Yes, of course.
You can do your thing.
Go to your room.
But if you don't, this is a definitely great option, and I think that is a great way to do it. But just in terms of, cannabis is all around. It's on our streets, the amount of people that are using it, and the amount of, I was a teenager here, we got cannabis and we smoked it, the same as we got alcohol and we drank it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing with humans, we will always, and something that's illegal seems to be a bit more alluring to people.
Attractive.
I find, but I totally agree with you. I think the cannabis private clubs are a really good way to go, because you could have one in every major town and in every small town, where people, and also the people who want to cultivate, but for example, live in a cardboard box in the DRC or in Katatura or somewhere, can go and do a community grow there.
Yes, exactly.
So I totally agree with you. I think that's a really, it's a really good system. I think mainly in Spain, that's the system they use.
And it has worked for them, and it works for them.
It has worked for them, and it's also a safe space for people to go,
Yeah. I just want to turn my attention quickly to that kid sitting in the back of the class who did not prepare for today's pop quiz and is just being a disruption.
For today's class.
Yes. You did not you did not prepare for today's class. Now you're just sitting there. You're not even asking questions. So
I don't know why people are taking pot shots at me.
I see in
on
the
the
comments
show.
they're asking, why are you not?
There's over 100 comments at the moment. I see this. And it's just, Neville, why are you so quiet?
Yes.
Neville, why are you not saying anything?
You're the
Neville,
talkative
Neville,
one here
Neville,
normally.
Lost me, hey, leave me alone. I'm just sitting here. It's obviously a topic that it's over my head. I'm learning a few things here today.
Vince has never smoked a joint.
Yeah, because there are two things that I'm obviously I'm a bit sad I've never done in my life, is smoking a joint and having a threesome.
But you had the space cake.
I've never had a threesome, and I've
space
never had. No, but a space cake is not a joint.
Okay.
It's worse than a joint, because eating cannabis is it's a higher high.
Yeah.
It's the higher
And
high.
longer.
Yeah.
Because as long as that cookie is in your stomach.
That explains your behavior that day.
And how was that experience for you?
It was like this quick burst of hey, and that was it. But I've never spoken a joint in my life, and I keep on saying to certain people around me who will remain nameless for now, that I would love to smoke a joint one day. I mean, I'm past the age of thinking about a threesome. I missed that part of my life. So maybe I can still have a joint. I've never had that, so.
But you also don't need to have a joint. Maybe you just make some clothes out of cannabis.
No.
He wants to have a joint.
He wants to have a joint. But
that's all I know. I mean, I grown up in a period where, like you do say,
It's criminal.
dacha.
Yeah.
That's what
That's
we call it.
dacha.
What dacha was criminalized, and
Yes.
but then again, I've grown up with some guys around me who've smoked it all the time, and today I do see the medicinal benefits of what dacha is. So I have no qualms about it, basically.
Yeah.
But then again, today for me is really just a learning curve. I'm learning a lot about it, and I do listen today. So yeah.
That's great. I mean, one of the things I also want to mention, we, I think, especially in these colonized African countries, for me as a white person, being so aware of, the privilege I have, and having done a lot of work with indigenous people within Namibia, we have a history of cannabis. I've gone to the Kalahari, to the San people, and to the Nama people in the Kwizip, and up in
north,
Ubambo land,
yes.
and in Kavango, there is recipes. People used to use this plant, There's similar recipes with where, the grandmothers, when people had asthma, they used to make the tea, and that's kind of uniformly across all these different areas in Namibia, and then giving it to the livestock as well, soaking it in water and then giving the water to the livestock, or giving the cannabis to the livestock to eat when they're sick. also, again, that you find in these pockets in Namibia, and then, you know, like mixing it with other herbs when children have fever, you know, and so also currently I'm really trying to like jot down that history, you know, and make sure that there's a space for that indigenous history and that we honor that, you know, and that we take that into account. And it's important that we realize we had a cannabis history in Namibia, you know, before colonization.
Now I'm kind of mad because the way my people, okay, I'm Oshibambo, the way they talk about weed,
Pangwe.
it's so negative that I'm kind of a bit mad to hear now that they used to use it and that there's so much judgment about it now.
Yeah, but then I've spoken to many Ovambo people, you know, who are like, there's like 7 names for it, you know, and they like, you know, like especially the tea for the asthma and bronchitis, and also like making balms for arthritis, you know, like Ovambo people I've spoken to, and often it's like when you speak to the elders, you know, the kind of really old
The
ones,
information that
you
passes
know,
through.
and because they got criminalized for this plant, you know, so a lot of people just like, and then Christianity came, you know, and it was like, oh, good Lord, like, no, you know, that's the devil, even though it's in the Bible, even though it is in the Bible, you know, over and over again mentioned.
Maria, where do you think Olomakaya came from?
I don't know.
Because we didn't have tobacco.
But what is Ofenia? Where did they get that?
What's that?
The one that they...
The sniff.
Snuff.
Yeah.
Snuff.
Did they have that from years ago? That was came with Christianity.
With colonialist, or how do you call
Colonialism.
Colonialism,
Yeah. I don't know, but I think, you know, Oromakaya was that day where everybody goes to the king's house and we get stoned. Why would you name a whole day after, you know, the day of smoking?
You might be onto something.
Yes. Okay. So Angela, before we wrap up, I just want to know, like, your advocacy work, especially here in Namibia. What does it entail, and how can others get involved?
So my advocacy work, you know, I try and focus on education, and I think, like, you know, I've made enough noise now that I did a presentation for the government as well, you know, and I submitted a proposal to law reform to look at changing the laws, you know, and I try and I focus on education, you know, whatever my opinion is doesn't really matter. And so I really try and bring out videos and engage newspapers, you know, and sit with people. And, you know, like, I've approached educational facilities like UNAM, you know, I spend a lot of time in the communities, you know, to try and educate them on this plant. And so my advocacy work, you know, is about making noise about it, trying to normalize that topic. Because there's a lot of people who are in favor and support, but they are scared of what other people are going to say.
Of coming out publicly,
you know,
because yes, yeah.
I mean, you know, you should read the comments that people put under some of the videos. I think.
Yeah.
Wow. You know.
Yeah.
But so, you know, I think I've you know, the fact that I've been able to engage the government, you know, and so I feel like people are starting to listen, and especially now in this COVID time, you know, I would urge businesses who have had to shut down to really just engage in the topic of hemp. You know, the other thing is you can go to Spa and Disgem and...
Dischem.
Tomato.
Now just helping the readers, I mean our listeners. Yeah.
And Spa, and you can buy CBD products and in
Yeah.
the pharmacies. So that's the thing. It's like, okay, so some people are allowed to import CBD products. You know, first of all, like I'm going to buy every one of those products and send them to the labs I use in the UK and test them to see whether there's
Becomes a
THC
classist
in
issue.
there. And it's like, so if we're allowed to import, some people are allowed to import and sell. So why are we not allowed to grow hemp?
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, because we can create jobs. So I really want to urge people to start, you know, really, like, that's the thing. I continuously release information. If people get in touch with me, I will send them 500 hours plus of information, you know, on cannabis, on the possibilities. Because the other thing is, if we can just focus on starting to build people houses with this plant, you know, the possibilities are endless. And now, especially when the economy is really, you know, like, people are losing their jobs, people are losing their companies. So I urge people to to get in touch, to start talking about cannabis, to start researching it, you know, and not, you know, the Google search. I mean, yeah, you know, Google search is great, but also it's kind of like dependent on what you search for. But yeah, to really
educate themselves.
To educate themselves, you know, on evidence-based research and you know, scientific research, and just look at the possibilities, because we can really, you know, revive our economy with hemp, you know, and we have so much sunshine and so much space. And because for me, the other thing is, you know, I'm passionate about wildlife, and what we've seen now up in the north, because it's really difficult in rural areas to create jobs, but this plant, you can plant it and you can create jobs, you know. And if you can offer someone, you know, a steady, good income, which they have access to, rather than having to go poach a rhino or an elephant, because there is no employment and there's no food and there's nothing, you know. And also the other thing with this plant, what I want to mention is it is nutritionally, you know, the hemp seeds are like one of the most nutrient-rich foods, you know, for malnutrition, whether it's humans or animals, it's great. You know, we can really like produce bars and make oils, and so yeah, I want people to start engaging in this topic, and now is the time. Not, you know, like, also just plant hemp, you know, order yourself some hemp seeds and plant them.
The world is calling it green gold, and one thing that you can be guaranteed of, once you harvest, it's not going to be sitting in your hands for long. It's an easy product to move. And because it has so many uses, I guess it is a conversation that we need to have. Okay, so Angela, how do we find you on social media platforms and so?
So I mean, I'm really, like, for me, I'm like, social media and public speaking, it makes me really nervous. And
I would never think.
Yeah, you've been doing fine so far.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, I really, yeah. I think I've developed anxiety since I've gone on so many radio shows. I hate it.
Me too. I get anxiety every time I walk out of here.
My mind just goes blank always. I'm like, I don't know anything. But so I'm on social media. I have an Instagram account, and I'm on Facebook as Pikey Wrong Stockings.
Wrong, not long.
Wrong Stockings.
Yeah.
And I actually developed that account because I used to have to fly to America to go work in the illegal cannabis industry, you know, and so I had a separate...
You had an
nothing,
alias.
Nothing linked to my name, Angela Prusa, you know,
Yeah.
because I've had many, you know, that's the other thing with cannabis. I've had, like, you know, police with machine guns pointed at my face, having my 4-year-old son with me, you know. So that kind of like violent attack on peaceful cannabis users and cultivators, you know, is ridiculous. Which in Namibia, you know, they're being targeted. But so yeah, I'm on Facebook as Pikey Wrong Stockings.
And on Instagram as well.
On Instagram, people have convinced me to set up a Twitter page, but I'm...
Yeah, Twitter is the place. So how do you spell Pikey?
You're just saying that because you own Twitter.
Is Pikey and then Wrong Stockings.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I try and, you know, every week I try and do something in the newspapers or on radio. Often they're like, no.
Well, we're not conventional.
Yeah.
But so I'm thinking about starting to do a YouTube channel, because I've tried, you know, I've recorded a lot of informational, you know, 5-minute videos. I'm also going to I do a lot, the amazing Erica Gephardt always lets me come onto, you know, It's a Wrap and follow up on what's happening.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Okay.
That's good. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
And we stand behind your advocacy work all the way.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
I've learned a lot.
Yeah,
I've really learned a lot.
More.
For 10 marks, how much did you learn?
No, guys, you know what?
For 10 months.
There's no way that every human being would know everything
Of
about
course.
everything. It's only Donald Trump that knows everything.
Very stable genius.
So this specific topic today, I was really just sitting here and just absorb. And I know, you know, about the good deposits of hemp or dacha. Or I like the word dacha.
I like the word dacha.
It's the word that I grew
use,
up with. So this was an interesting topic, just because I wasn't being
But
vocal
just-
today doesn't mean that I'm not interested in it. Really, it was very, very interesting. Angela, where are you from originally?
I was born in Windhoek, and then I grew up in the Kuizep. I actually spoke Damara when I was little, and then I moved to Omaruru, and then there was segregation. So
Okay.
it was like this whole. But yeah, I grew up in Namibia, and I left and lived everywhere in the world.
You German?
And then I grew up speaking German, but I'm not German.
Okay.
But like what you said, I've had, I've done these presentations for so many members of society, and it's amazing. Afterwards, they're like, wow, I had no idea, and also essentially, because the other thing that I just want to close off on and mention is, it is our human right, if it is your right to consume alcohol, it is my right to consume cannabis. That's like, I think we really need to look at the fact that there's a UN Human Rights Charter, that gives us autonomy over our own body and what we put into that body, as consenting adults. But even when it comes to children, when my child is sick or has cancer I want to be able to give him cannabis as a medicine.
All right.
So, Achaba, if you listen,
It's a precedent.
yeah, Dacha is not prohibited. Angela, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us this morning, Angela.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yes, interesting. Neville, Sinostel, don't you want to read comments first?
Yeah,
You've been-
people are taking pot shots at me the whole morning.
Is that why you're giggling at the comments the whole time?
Yeah,
And
I'm
they
sitting
normally
here.
take pot shots at me over the nose ring. They're like, yeah, cake died done. What does she know? She looks heroic.
You know what? I'm not lying to you. The first time I saw you from afar with that nose ring, and I thought it was a big ball of snot sitting there. I'm very honest with you. I wanted to walk up and say,
There's something there. Clean that.
Yeah. And then when I got closer and I saw it was a nose ring, so interesting.
Yeah, no, people love to. It's,
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah,
I like
you
like
would.
the
I would,
colours.
yeah.
Your whole outfit is so,
Vibrant.
vibrant.
You know, yeah.
People find it very offensive here in Namibia.
for what?
It's we are very concerned.
We're very
So-called
conservative. People are
conservative.
very angry here. I don't know. It's like this teacher. The amount of like comments. Like,
You
really
just said that.
judgmental comments.
People are very angry here.
You're talking about soup, and then they're like, yeah, I throw it. It's my ploy and kijk daai neusring and then what the fuck is she wearing? Everyone needs to start smoking cannabis and chill out. That's
And
why
just chill out.
I'm done with you people.
Oh,
Yes,
man.
I'm
I'm
gonna
allowed
go
to
smoke
swear
a
on
joint
my-
this
No.
weekend.
No, you're not, but anyway.
Nice to meet you guys.
That's nice.
Yes, it was nice chatting to you
Pleasure.
this morning,
Yes,
Angela.
you guys
Yeah.
can.
Have a lekker weekend and stay warm, please. It's cold.
I know
I
it's
will
sweet.
switch
Yeah.
on.
Thank you guys.
Ja, move.
Right.
Yes. Angela, auf Wiedersehen.
Wiedersehen.
Dankeschön.
Bye bye.
She spoke Damara, say in Damara, say it in Damara.
Hey, boys. Das.
All right, we don't have long to go before we also have to step out of the
Yeah,
studio.
I've got to shoot, guys. I'm feeling so important. I'm usually behind the camera. Now I'm in front of it.
Yeah.
Listen. I'm going to that shoot, okay?
Can we drive together?
Yeah, I just want to go and see her. Because it's cold.
You are so ombuskoff. Oh my God.
Neville, you give us men a bad name.
One day I'm going to take it to HR because he's hypersexualizing me now.
HR is also going to hypersexualize.
Lester Maria, I mean, we have to appreciate Ngagute if you see Ngagute. So we're not asking for your opinion here, okay? So please just be quiet. We go to the shoot and you just do what you do and we'll do what we do, okay? But Cubase, thank you very much for that very, very interesting interview. I've never seen...
Why are you thanking
can
me?
Can you just be quiet?
Okay.
I've never seen Cubase listening so attentively to any guest.
No, there were the other people that were also in studio that also had his full attention.
Yes.
From
Cubase was sitting...
Because you guys are not asking questions, so at least I have to carry the interview.
Yeah.
What must I ask?
ask.
Except for the
so
little
much to
Dacha
ask.
information that I
Actually,
know.
I would think some.
Then you
I-
get the
I think
information from her.
Amongst the three of us, you know the least. So I would
Yeah.
actually think
You would want to know
you
the
would
most.
ask the most
Yes.
to get more information.
Why do you guys know more than me about Dacha?
Because we are actually more interested in topics like that than you
Yeah.
are.
Or are you smoking it?
I've smoked it before, yes.
Okay. Do you smoke it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, that
police
is your
is our
interest. Yeah, that's your interest.
I pick it up
I
on.
can't I can't expect you to ask I can't expect you to ask any football related questions if we say
If I'm trying to learn about football,
you
as
so now.
somebody, okay,
So,
so unless
come
but
on.
you
What is a free kick?
Hello, I will zone out. Actually, what is a free kick?
What's it?
What is a free kick?
Free kick.
Like, ay. If I have to explain that to you, then I'll have to explain
Maria.
everything the whole game.
What is the one in the corner?
It's a corner kick.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a corner kick. All right.
I'm asking, like,
Look, I do know
is,
something.
why is that guy wearing different clothes from the other ones? The
Okay,
goalie
no,
now?
I'm not there.
I like the fact that last year at the
Is
at
it
the
7 players on the field?
11.
Oh,
11 on
okay.
each team.
11. But I have to give it to Maria. Last year during the Rugby World Cup, we were sitting in the canteen
Yes.
and there was a game playing. And Maria actively connected with me asking, okay, now why are they passing the ball to the back? Why are they not passing it forward? Why are they not doing it? And I was
Yes,
like,
and I learned so much, by
and
the
then I
way.
was pleasantly surprised. It was
Yeah.
the first time, because anytime, at any given day in the studio, when we speak sport in the studio, Maria just, praat julle net klaar asseblief so.
No, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, but that's you see what Maria was doing there. That's what you do when you don't have the answers. You ask questions.
I didn't even know what to ask.
Questions.
But no, but it was very interesting. Guys.
Even as an investment opportunity, it's green gold, guys. You know the whole world is heading somehow. In the even countries that do not really want to consume are allowing for cultivation, packaging, and exporting because they know all over the world this is a
Yeah.
product that is in high demand.
I think my only issue when it comes to that level, and we're seeing it in the States, and maybe I should have said this while she was here. My only problem with that is like, when they commercialize it to that level, and I always call it like putting it in a nice package, in a nice whatever, you're still going to. It's like you make it like a luxury good. To the disadvantage of
Of the poor.
the poor.
Yes.
You understand? So now you have a factory, and we see it in especially. I mean, I was in LA. You see it like they have little factories, weed factory. But like, I mean, even that's a startup capital that you need, and to run that weed shop, and to put it in a nice kabenki, and that's not a manufacturing process that the poor can afford. So yes, it's now available, but yes, it's been commercialized to a level that even production is not.
Business plan mos. Dan gaan jy SME bank toe. I mean DBN. SME bank is
Yeah, I mean, I think if they just let that Al-Zaliki in Katutura to grow her little garden in the back, and she can sell it as she wants, even if it's in a wrapped newspaper or whatever.
close by, yeah.
Yeah, then it's. I guess then it's good.
Yeah, but I mean that's essentially what it becomes. It's like for instance alcohol, right? There's the formal alcohol market,
Yes.
which
Yes, you're correct, yeah.
the more affluent, of course, ascribe to. But then there's the informal way, the less.
Yeah. But you see, when there's things that affect, it's like even just the perception of the informal versus the formal is very different. And sometimes the alcohol by the informal traders is less harmful than the products in the...
Because there are less chemicals in there.
Exactly. But perceptions of it are very different.
That's true.
Somebody was sending me a WhatsApp here. His name is Johan. His answer was, ask Maria what is a through pass.
Okay, like
A through pass.
I
It's
know.
when I pimp you out to Neville.
Yeah, you
Dat ek van Neville a through pass gegee.
Guys, I tell you, like sometimes you guys expose my privilege. I hate it.
Yes,
But-
hold on. I get it down.
Maria.
Yesterday somebody asked Maria for a tiger.
Tiger. Ay, mo.
Maria has no idea what this person is talking about. What?
A tiger.
It's a $10, Maria. That's what we call it on the streets.
Yes, I found out.
Maria, okay, let's teach
No, guys,
Maria.
no, yeah.
No, but just teach. Okay, so a block is $1,000.
Okay, so if somebody says, "Give me a block,"
Give me a block.
that's $1,000.
It's $1,000.
Okay.
2 block, 3 block, 4 block,
Yes.
or what? Yeah, as a block. Okay. A honey,
Yeah, that's 100 obviously.
it's $100. Tiger,
It's a 10.
yeah.
All right.
So then you
There's
have.
no like for 50 or anything.
I know.
No.
It's either $10 or $100.
Okay, so
No in between.
That's the zeros.
Yeah.
Keep increasing.
so you can zak.
Yeah.
Okay, zak is money.
Yeah, money is Zaka
Okay.
now.
As jy getrina word. So
Venus.
trina is like
Deprive.
no.
It's
Somebody
genok.
you just genok
Oh,
you.
okay. Yes. Yeah. I know what can knock
So
is.
it's
Yeah.
getrina.
Yeah.
So
Alright.
so these are we'll give you a few words every day.
It's actually
And-
something that I will discuss it off the air.
Yes.
It's something that I
and
wanted to
just
do.
by
for
the
sure.
way, those that are asking why I don't know this, I didn't grow up in
Yeah.
Windhoek. It's not.
She grew up in German Namibia.
It's like,
Hair. No, what is for a lady who can? Hair is most.
I'm not even gonna say.
Vrouwlijn.
Frau Lynn Meria sprechen Deutsch. Yeah, my German is gone. It's gone. But I can't even scrape together 2-3 words anymore.
can
Koffie,
we
ons
wrap-
moet bietjie meer uithang asseblief.
Can we wrap up?
Ja. You know, vandag het ons glad nie comments gelees nie. Op 'n Vrydag.
Read comments, please.
There are done so
We
many
got
comments.
7 minutes to go, so I just start
Where
from
do you
the
keep
bottom.
counting? Where did you get the 7 minutes?
It's 13 minutes past.
Are you really going to a listener?
No, I
Oh, yeah.
in hindsight.
Are you?
No.
Liba Hiskia is saying 5 pin is $5. And 5 bob is 50 cent.
Yeah. No, 5 bob is 5 cents.
50 cents. 5 bob is
See,
50
even
cent.
you guys don't know.
It's 50 cent. Neville doesn't know. Neville
Give me a
lives.
5 bob.
5 bob is 50 cent. Wie vra 5 cent?
Yeah, it's true. I haven't said 5 bob in a long time.
Ja,
Yeah, it's.
jy begin ons by
I've
honey
moved
op.
up. Yeah, honey and up.
Give more of the street words, my people, as a belief. Moenie worry nie. We're going to do an urban dictionary for you guys
Gotcha.
with all these words like khocha and nga and also maybe try to explain where they come from. Yeah. Raymond Basson, Maria, give Neville a tiger. Tai means a club.
Yeah, that's another one.
Yes, tiger also
Say
means...
maar a tiger.
So how do I know if somebody's asking for a slap or asking for 10?
When they
good
ask
question.
you, give them both. They clap on my gee om 'n 10 rand.
You saw.
Oh, wow.
Oh man, I even forgot that it's also used for clap.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, Stephanus James Ananias. In this 2020, I'm surprised that not all of us are smoking daga.
Yeah, I'm also surprised.
Yeah.
Because, wow, we have a lot of reason to.
In 2020. So far.
When people zol,
Yeah.
they put saliva on the paper.
When they shave the soul, they put the saliva. It was what minister was that in South Africa?
It's the
Dlamini Zuma.
health
The
minister.
health minister.
Yeah. Estomik, Cubase is thinking, thank God, here comes my money maker. He will start growing it. Guys, you know, on Betty Plus, right? My father's homestead. They are like 1, 2,
Be careful now.
3. There are 3, actually 2 massive gardens. And when I say massive, I mean massive.
Yes, Masarero land.
Like 5 soccer fields massive. And then we've got 2 smaller ones. Imagine what I can do with all that land. And that's lekker water they can.
And as she said, there's a lot of sun in Namibia.
So if I quit, you guys should know I'm going to the reservate.
You're going green.
Yes, I'm going.
You're going Banderu.
Helvi Maudina Hamwele. You guys missed Parliament last night. Constructive indeed.
I saw that.
What was happening?
No, just Parliament.
Constructive. He said it was constructive. That's why nobody
It was
remembers.
very constructive.
Kama, in my culture, we use a nose ring for calves. I know we do that, but those are for show
Yeah.
show kettlers. Hoe kom jy ding was
Exactly.
dat jy hom kan?
Kan trek.
Ja.
Exactly.
Ja. Ons vang hom net met hy snaakse tang wat jy hom by die neus vang.
Ja.
Davu Nunyango. So it's not true that cannabis is mostly only medicinally legal in North America and not for recreational use. In some places, I mean, you gotta remember Namibia. America is like a federal republic, right? It's got semi-autonomous states within the union.
Out of the 51 states.
Yes. Yeah. So like each one sort of has the autonomy. It's the perfect example is if each region in Namibia sort of had their own mini government and they made their own rules. Obviously,
Exactly.
all of them fall under our federal government who makes rules, blanket rules, but then each one, those small things, they control within. So yeah, in some places it is legal for medicinal use. In some places it is legal for recreational use as well, and so on and so on and so forth.
Your words are just flowing this morning.
I am very well versed
Yes, very.
in this topic.
It's very philosophical today.
Yeah.
Hey, Neville. Not Neville. Yeah, I'm even calling Maria Neville.
Hectic.
What a fly day. Emily Dion Dapuka. If I learn a lot was a person, guess who it would be?
Gaan, it said. Leave me alone.
Neville say us gerook, we are not angry, we have a code.
I saw a few comments there saying, that girl there in the studio is lekker gerook.
No, but she doesn't smoke. She just clarified. And I think sometimes that's a misconception. Even for me, when she said she doesn't smoke, I was like, okay. And then obviously, because we all have, and it's sad, but we all have like preconceived notion and like
Yeah.
we just have,
Not true.
especially with when it comes to cannabis users or people that advocate for it,
Yeah.
we just have a certain perception of them, which is I think is the most unhealthy, because I know people in suits,
Yeah.
right, that smoke when they get home. You just wouldn't think it,
Yes.
okay? Because your perception of a weed smoker is dreadlocks is the first sign that you are
Dirty.
looking out for. Dirty, all these negative connotations, always high, can't move forward in life, stagnate. You know, it's all this ugly perceptions. But I promise you, there are people like myself, and I might be one of them, that occasionally smoke a joint.
I might be one of them.
I'm just.
I mean, just listen to this.
No, what I'm just trying to say is it's not. Weed smoking doesn't have a look. Is what I'm
Yes.
trying to say. It doesn't have a look.
And it's, guys, I've been telling you guys all along, and this has always been my position. I got a little bit more empathy for weed smokers than cigarette smokers. I can't stand the smell of cigarette smoke.
Yes.
But like I say, dacha, I've smelled it many a times around me, and I can tolerate the smell of dacha, but the cigarette smell around me, it's
But this lady also just said, cigarette and alcohol is more of harmful
Yes.
than weed. So you and your self-righteous, jy drunk.
Yeah,
Drunker.
Yes.
Drank it. What? Drank it.
Sape soos 'n vis.
That be the plus. So no, but the point is, yes, we don't seem to mind so much alcohol and cigarettes, and we've normalized obviously because
Yeah.
they're legal. But on the flip side is something less harmful that we still look down on. And I mean, I have people that were crying during the lockdown, the banning of alcohol, that look down on weed, and it's crazy.
No,
to me.
no, you're right.
It's crazy to me.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
It's nonsense.
Come on. I don't trust you, but that lady will be arrested soon. Lost of us 8 guys.
I really hope she doesn't
Wouldn't
get
that be
arrested,
something, huh?
because then we really have a bad rap.
Leicester,
Our credibility will be gone.
if that woman gets arrested, kom
We might as well just close up
And nobody's
the show.
gonna come to the show anymore.
Julle drie, nee.
I believe there's a conspiracy at the police station against our show.
Stand outside outside and they wait for our. What was it? It was the city police guy,
Yeah.
Michael Abushele.
It was Michael, it was Top Cherry, it was
Top
Sunny
Cherry,
Boy.
Sunny Boy. People were making, there were certain speculations out there that there was a specific hit on me. Me.
Neville Basset.
After Amushe was arrested. I said, what does this have to do with me? Come on, this guy, it's the first and the last guest that we had in the studio that had a double show, double interviews.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he came to tell his own story.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we got some flack back there for that interview.
I got flack because I was looking at him.
Yeah,
Like
like
jaloers.
jaloers, ja.
Ja,
Jy
maar-
kan die ogen jaloers jy ook.
I'm just
Het
not
jy
a
die ogen
fan.
smaak of is jy jaloers op jou?
I'm not a fan. That's all. For my own personal reasons, nothing else.
I know why Maria's not a fan.
Yeah. But great to him.
Neville, update the thing between you and Swart Boy. Is there an update there? Is there any developments?
We don't want Sad Boy to be arrested. That's why he's not
Ja.
coming to the show.
Hey, Swart Boy is my bra. I might not agree with him on certain things, maar is my bra.
Penny
I
Jones
like him
is
as a
saying,
friend.
why don't journalists in Namibia take their job seriously and report on what this COVID smoke screen is really doing to our country? The business is closing, the people starving, suicides on the increase as a result. No, man, it's the journalist's job to expose the truth to the world.
But who says, can I be
Which
very honest?
truth,
yeah.
guys?
Yeah. Here's my thing. From March, when we were put into lockdown, to now,
Yeah.
and I need to be cognizant, it's part of my job, but like, I'm kind of tired because I'm, on a daily basis, I'm editing COVID-19 related news articles, as are other media houses. COVID-19 is currently the most covered topic globally. And might I add, obviously, because it's the most covered, we're constantly looking at different angles. How is it affecting people, the livelihood, the suicide, as you're saying, mental health, all these things. So I think it's very disingenuous for you to come and try and say the media is not doing their job when really Google any keyword next to COVID-19 and there will be several articles on it.
23.
I say, Maria told you. It's disingenuous of you.
Yeah.
But you know what? I agree there. I think when it comes to COVID-19, I think it's been widely reported in all, I think through all media houses. Up to a point that even these contact sessions that we get 10 o'clock in the morning and 4 o'clock in the afternoon,
Yes.
up to a point where you and me even said, yeah, it's just too much now.
Yes, it's too much.
It's too much.
It
I don't want
feels
to
like
hear
that,
this.
yes.
It feels too much. So for anybody to say that there's not enough information about this, I mean, you see this in social media.
Yeah.
I
Talk
think,
about people's livelihoods and
look,
people being
this person referred to it as a COVID-19 smoke screen. So I guess maybe the information that they want is for us to say that COVID-19 is not real. It's a conspiracy. I don't know.
What is this?
I don't really know. Yes, maybe clarify because the smoke screen element. I
Gu-
don't know.
guys, like if nothing else, right? The whole 5G conspiracy that was all over social media a couple of weeks ago should teach you something, that you don't just jump on every conspiracy that you hear. A lot of people are putting out fake news on the internet, on social media platforms. So just because you read something that says COVID-19 was created in a lab or whatever it is, doesn't mean that you have to now jump. And I can tell you right now, if you go on the internet, you can find 100 articles that will also say because of this and that, it's a smoke screen. But
we first have to believe it's a smoke screen for us to cover.
Yes, I cannot tell you it's a
Perfect.
smoke screen if I don't think it's a smoke screen.
Yeah.
Right? So maybe there. Johan Tosa Jaronguru, please educate her before Neville starts to smoke the D word. Taha. Mekere Wallace Waindere. I hope you guys don't get that lady arrested. Some of us need her.
Some of us need her.
Give more to the street words, my people. As a belief. No, we're going to teach Miriam more street words.
Yes, I'm happy to learn.
Pikey Wrong Stockings also commenting. Thank you for joining us this morning. Guys, thanks for having me. I have a question. Was the show recorded and how can I get access to it? It is going to be up on the Facebook page once we're done. We do not delete it. We do share it. So you can grab it from there. You can share it. I guess it's it's in the public domain now. Are we getting out of here?
We're getting out of here.
What's up for the weekend?
So
real quick.
Today I'll be a tennis parent again. There's an upcoming tennis tournament from this afternoon. So
I just love how invested you are.
When it comes to, even my mood changes when I start talking about my...
Yes, your daughter.
Yeah.
It's like when he talks about the boys, he's...
But
the daughter is like... And she's your only daughter, right?
She's my only daughter. So when I get into a completely different mood and very protective and defensive.
You're Serena Williams.
So 2:00 this afternoon. So I'll
tennis dad.
I'll be a tennis dad for today and tomorrow lunchtime. And then I have a live stream show.
When can she qualify for the nationals? I know you said last time she's too young. Her
she
skill
has
is
qualified
there.
now.
She's qualified.
She's qualified. We were so thanks.
Can we just a moment?
Yeah. So she was supposed to travel to Mozambique. Just before the lockdown, and it was my chance to go and see a former Portuguese colony to go and. I was really not interested to go and watch it play tennis. I wanted to go and
to experience
sample Portuguese cuisine and seafood.
Then why not just go to Portugal?
Or go to Angola?
I can't.
You want to sample Portuguese food? Go to Portugal.
This is the nearest to Portugal you can get. So like tomorrow afternoon, we'll be in Oganya for a Shield live stream event that I'm hosting there. So that's the weekend. But for now, between now and 10:00, we're going to a listener. You and me.
Ja, nee, ik wil ook saam gaan.
Gotta go.
I'm gonna go also.
So
actually,
Maria,
I'm offended. So you guys don't think I look good on camera or what? Yaku?
Yeah, because they apparently chose
people who look good on camera.
Aesthetically pleasing. But I told
They didn't even look in my direction.
But actually, it's a misconception because I actually I don't look good on camera, but they'll find that out.
Who told you?
No, I don't. I really don't.
I know the camera doesn't like me. But it's okay because I don't like the camera either.
So Maria is going to have a photo shoot in the next half an hour.
Yeah.
It's 10 degrees outside. Okay.
And I have to take off my coat.
She has to take off her coat.
My score.
Okay, Neville's gonna continue sexualizing me. Can we just call it?
Ek het nie met jou gepraat nie.
Neville's mind is in the gutter again.
So what are you going to do this weekend, Maria?
This is why I don't get married. I have trust issues. If this is how married people are.
Is this what my husband will be doing out there?
My husband will be doing? I can't do it. You guys are leaving me scarred.
Scarred.
Okahanja.
What?
Never say Okahanja.
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 Yeah.
Not Okahanja.
It's Okahanja.
No, it's Okahanja.
The Buddha say Uchu.
You are the people who spell Okahanja without a D.
No, but he says, is it Walfish Bay? What is that simple?
Keisepmund.
It's Keisepmund. Keisepmund. And it's Walvis. Walvis Bay. There's no such thing as a walrus in English.
Walfish Bay.
No, it's not walfish. What is a walfish?
It's walfish.
It's a whale then. Then say whale bay.
Whale Bay.
As Walvis Bay. It's an Afrikaans word. You don't translate the word into English.
It's not an Afrikaans word. Sek wena.
Walvis.
No, it's not an Afrikaans word.
What is a walvis?
It's a whale.
Exactly. No, now walvis is in Batata.
But it must be English nice.
No, you don't English nice. Like kama Oshiwarongo.
Oshiwarongo.
Yes.
It's like when I'm driving around and I've got my Google map on. Sam no Chama straight into.
Yeah, Google Maps probably struggles with our street names.
Stop it.
Guys, enjoy your weekend.
Yes, imagine your Siri or Google Maps or whatever trying to read Kakuruka de Mungunda Street.
They say it's going to be extremely cold tomorrow.
Yes, we had an article on it as well.
And I'll be
sleeping over the weekend. Yeah.
And I'll be sleeping in the bush tomorrow evening in a tent.
Please don't talk about those stories.
So I'll take a sleeping bag and I love the cold and I love being out there in nature. So I'm really looking forward to tomorrow night. Must tell you, Kiwis, we'll be together, two of us.
Yes. Guyton, just something that he posted. He says, Q, before you go, please tell ladies not to post their running routes online. It's a crazy world out there.
What is running routes?
Or they,
Jogging,
I think they like the jogging.
Oh,
I jog this
Good
way, that
point.
way,
Oh,
this
thank
way.
goodness I don't jog.
good point. Guys, it really, sorry for the word, it pisses me off in the afternoons. When I drive down to a Lisenheim, and you can clearly see it gets dark,
Yeah.
you have women coming out of a Lisenheim, running towards the main road. And I'm like, why are you guys leaving the estate? Why can't you just do it inside?
The estate,
There's
yeah.
enough running space in there.
Oh, there really is.
And there's enough running space. Why do they need to go to the road?
Like, yeah, I don't want to bump into that Neville Basson. He also jogs on that road.
I don't like it. So, Gayton, thanks very much for that information.
Very good.
Yeah.
All right, guys, enjoy the weekend. We're out of here. I'm also going to be sleeping in a tent this weekend.
Yeah.
Are you guys going to cuddle?
I can cuddle you if you want to come with.
Oh,
You were the one who went there. All right, we're out of here. Don't forget, at 12 o'clock, there is another live stream from Informanté Radio. It is going to be on the Informanté Radio Facebook page. That's Tate Nawan as N. Tate Kaufman. Yes, 12 to 1. We're at
Informanté Radio.
Informanté Radio.